you find value in Burgundy? Well, I can tell you how we did it. When my wife Ellie and I first arrived in Burgundy, we were looking for a way to look at food and wine, but not sell our soul to a restaurant situation kind of thing. So we ended up with a hotel barge. And it was a 6-passenger barge called the Papillon. It's still going around, actually. You'll see, if you ever see Rick Steves' programs, he was actually on the Papillon, but it was after our time. We sold it off after that. But we wanted to show people wines on the boat that they weren't going to be able to find back home. And so we started talking to people in the area, and anytime we found somebody who made good wine, we'd say, who do you know who makes good wine? So it became kind of we ended up with this little network of small producers, none of whom were available in the United States at the time. And so essentially when you ask about how do we find value in Burgundy, for me, it's like there are unknown producers that are sort of, they're up and coming, and they're waiting to be discovered. And we always say that we drink producers and not labels. I mean, there are big famous wines, and if you want the big famous wines, you're going to pay the premium price. But there are really good producers working in like lesser known appellations, and we'll talk about a little bit about that in a little bit later. But there are there are young producers making wines that are not necessarily the most famous names, but a good winemaker will make a good wine, even if it's a Grand Cru or if it's a regional appellation. So to me, that's where value is found. Now, that said, you have to have, for someone who's not here, like we're doing, to find that, you need sort of like a concierge service. You need somebody who knows the producer, but who also knows you. And it's like kind of like the old days. And if you went into an old style wine merchant and you went in there all the time, they'd say, "Well, hello, Mr. Smith. I just got something in today, and I think you're really going to like this." So there's been a fine-tuned relationship, and I think that's very important too. The other important thing is you have to know what you like in order to find value. So you have to pull a lot of corks, which is, depending on what you do with your time, that's an interesting possibility too. I do have one hint that I've mentioned to people sometimes. If you go out to a restaurant and you go into a fancy restaurant and they give you the wine list that's that thick, almost everybody goes to the Grand Cru, looks at that and says, "Oh my God, it'll be $1,000 for a wine that's just 2 years old." It's like, and that's just insanity. That's the infanticide, as they say. But if you look at the name of the producer that you're looking at on the Grand Cru and just flip back a few pages to get to the simpler ones, to get to the village wines or the regional appellations and that kind of stuff, find that same producer. I'll guarantee you that anybody who makes a good Grand Cru will also make a good regional wine or a good village appellation. It'll be a tenth of the price, and even if it's a recent vintage, it'll be more approachable because you don't have to lay it down for 15 years. So I think that's our mantra is you drink producers and not labels.
Hello, I'm Dennis Sherman from BurgundyWine.com. We're based in Burgundy and have been for over 35 years. We specialize in small production, hidden gem winemakers, and we deliver their wines directly to your door at prices that will convince you when we say great Burgundy does not have to be expensive. If you can't come to Burgundy, we'll bring Burgundy to you. So join us at BurgundyWine.com, where shipping is always included on case quantities.